Here we go. And good afternoon, Crystal. How are you, ma'am?
I am wonderful. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you for a little bit on a Monday.
It is.
Mhm.
Same here.
Yeah.
Mutual.
Cool. So we have some pretty cool things to talk about today. Specifically, four of the top worries that retirees have when they retire. So we're going to jump into that. You know, I spend most of my time getting people ready to retire, and so it is kind of interesting to talk about things that happen once you retire. So I'm
Mm.
kind of excited um, about that today. So, excuse me, let me um, read your bio and then we'll jump right in. How's that?
All right. Sounds fantastic.
Okay, so hello everyone. Please welcome my friend and colleague Crystal Mitchell to on the conversations on the patio with Crystal and Jevon. Crystal is a business coach and consultant, a CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, the co-host of the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. It's another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio College, San Antonio Community College. She's a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, how are
I am wonderful.
you? Good
Glad to be here.
deal. I happen to be Javon Thomas. I'm a licensed retirement plan advisor, and we're going to talk today about four of the top worries that people have with regard to retirement when they're in retirement, I think, usually. I think it's good to talk about these things before we get into retirement. We're talking about some of the worries that retirees have. Number one on the list is outliving your savings, right? How long is that going to last? Especially now that people are living to 90. I mean, we used to have the good sense to die at 75, but now we're just all up in the 90s, especially if you're 60 years old now. So, what are you going to do? How do you protect yourself with assets?
So
Uh,
true. So
yeah,
very true. And not only are we living to 90, we're living to 90 with spunk and vigor, vim and vigor.
spunk and vigor, spunk and vigor.
we
In
not
many
just we
situations,
just not crawled up on our couch and not moving. We out traveling and spending money.
exactly, especially that spending money. There's a couple of options out there, and believe it or not, my favorite is some type of annuity when that
Mm.
actually pays you money until the end of your life, perhaps, or until for a certain amount of time, or you can even set it up so it pays your beneficiary for a certain amount of time or for their end of life. And so I like the idea of an annuity. There's a special annuity out there that many advisors use. It's called a quality life annuity contract, and it's specifically designed for people to receive assets in their later years. So the long and short of it for most of these issues is going to be talk with a financial advisor. But it's good to hear the term a couple of times before you go and talk with a financial advisor. So I'm glad folks are going to take a chance and or take the time rather say hear this so they know some things to ask their financial advisor about. So when it comes to outliving your savings, think about having an annuity that's going to pay you X amount of dollars, which means we need to do some planning, figure out what our needs are. But an annuity is a pretty good way to go, especially one of those qualified life annuity contracts that are designed to pay you when you get old. Okay, so number one is outliving your savings. That's a big worry. Number two is, are you going to have enough, right? And how much do you need when you're going to retire? Like, so I mean, I've got lots of stories of people who think they just don't know how much they're going to need. And it is a moving target. If we did this questionnaire back in the 80s versus what we have now to look at with insurance and, all kinds of stuff like that, the numbers are different and the target keeps moving.
Yeah, it
So, what do you
does.
do? Yeah. So, what do you do? Well, you know me. I'm going to say, I'm going to say unequivocally, I'm going to say make sure you have the right mix of stocks and bonds for you so that you can get the most bang for your buck. And that means you have got to pay attention to your asset allocation. Even if you happen to be in one of those target date funds, make
Mm-hmm.
sure it has the right level of risk for you. So talk with your financial advisor. And, I'm just going to say right here and now, that's one of the reasons why I'm not really a fan of target date funds. And I know I'm going to get some cards and letters. And I know there are some very smart people that use target date funds, especially for uh, their kids, they're to save money for going to college,
Mm-hmm.
You've got like, I mean, hopefully you have 17 or 18 years where you can put money away into this thing and it's going to grow and that's going to really help those college costs. So, I mean, they're really good for that. And for people that just don't want to make the decision, they just want somebody else to do the managing of the fund. Um, you can't beat a target date fund because somebody else, a professional manager, they based on your age and when you're going to turn 65, they manage these assets for you. And many of them go even way past that. Now they're expecting you to be in that fund for, I don't know, the next 10, 15, or 20 years. So when you think about it that way, you get professional management, you get investments for past your retirement. This sounds like a good thing. The reason I don't necessarily like target date funds is even all of us that are going to retire at 65 in the year 2000, I don't know, 30, let's say, we don't all look the same. Some of us have spouses, some of us have student debt, some of us have uh, diseases, some of us are going to die early, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, right. We don't look the same. And so, why should all of our assets be managed the same? So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I also think that we as Americans don't save enough early enough. So we come into that situation, I think, with one hand tied behind our back because often the risk tolerance that someone in a ivory tower is going to assume for you is not necessarily the truth. Now, when it comes to saving for your child's education, or when it comes to saving for some particular goal that you have, uh, that's not necessarily your retirement goal, then I think that's kind of a cool way to use a target date fund. But when it comes to retirement, where we as Americans don't start saving sometimes until our 40s, we missed out on our 20s and we missed out on our 30s. And so that time in the market, we need to be a bit more aggressive than we actually are for most people's comfort, I think. But I will rest and say that the investment that keeps you up at night is not a good investment. So talk with your financial advisor, take the questionnaire, and take it once a year just to make sure. And then make sure you get the right mix of stocks and bonds that's going to make you comfortable, that can make the risk that you're taking comfortable. If you gotta do the target date fund, if you just gotta because you just can't handle uh, you just can't handle taking that 10 question questionnaire, or you just can't, or you're just afraid, so afraid to make a mistake because maybe you don't have help. Maybe you don't have a financial advisor that you can talk to. If that's the case, then please, please, please connect with a financial advisor 5 years before you're going to retire so that you can set up a plan to ease yourself into those retirement years, right? So you can set up what a conversion kind of plan. Don't get stuck and do what some people did back in the day, where they would say to themselves, okay, I'm 65 years old. I want to retire. I quit my job. And they then take all their money, stick it in the bank, and then they call a financial advisor to set up an annuity or some type of program for them to get their assets over the rest of their life. Please, please, please do not do that. Do not do.
Mm.
Start early and put that and ask that financial advisor how you're going to transition into retirement. Have that annuity set up. Please do that. That's the please. Okay, so number one was outliving your savings. Number two is I'm not going to have enough money. The third one on our list is the rising cost of medical things, medical needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you have some experience with that, don't you, Crystal? Some folks in your family that had. Am I making that up?
No, actually, not just myself, but I have quite a few friends. We're all in that place where we're taking care of our parents, and the medical expenses far exceed what their Medicare will pay for. And then you have the other side of that, the insurance part of that, the Advantage plans, which have some significant cost factors to them. But somewhere, an insurance policy it's like 175, could be 180, $190 a month for even on Medicare for that event for the Part B of your plan.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be pretty significant. And then if you happen to have one of those supplemental plans that one have pretty significant deductibles, and as well as you have to pay a copayment for your drugs. And most older people who are retired, they develop chronic illnesses. So your medication can cost you anywhere $2 to $3 to $4 to $500 a month.
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't know that when that first plan is set up, because you don't know what that's going to look like, and you don't know what your health is going to look like. So, yeah. And then beyond all that, your family, you got to pay for if you do get ill and have some sort of debilitating illness. Now we could be talking upwards of $8,000 and $9,000 a month just for caregivers. So it's some significant costs associated with getting old.
It is. You're spot on, and I think
for a community of people that's not generating revenue.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a very tough problem, and the only thing I can really think about is you got to have these conversations early in people's lives so that they can get ready for it, so you can get ready for it, because you just never know when something's going to happen. The statistics that I read suggest that the average person is going to spend over $300,000 a year in medical cost over the length of their retirement. So if you've saved up 900,000 and you got to pay 300,000 in medical expenses, that hurts.
Yeah,
that really hurts. And $900,000 is a nice chunk of change. You can do quite well with that.
Exactly. And that's not your only cost, but that's definitely when we're younger, medical costs really, you don't even think anything about it, right? I mean, even when I was working in corporate America, I don't believe I ever used my medical insurance. I mean, there have been periods of time in my life I never use it, right? Unless you go in for your pre-care, your preventative care. Other than that, thank God, I've been quite healthy. But that's not the case when you become a senior individual. Things happen.
Things happen. So I think the answer to those to some of those issues, or at least what you want to talk about when you have hire a financial advisor, and please go out and at least talk to one, hire somebody, and someone who's a real financial advisor, someone who deals with stocks and bonds and insurance, not someone who does your taxes or someone who, I don't know, sells you pretty green things or what have you. A real financial advisor. So, now there's all kinds of things like long-term care insurance, which, can get expensive if you don't start till you're 60, but it might be better for you than not having it. I don't know. That's a decision you have to make. Another one is, if you're younger, If you have kids that are going to college or soon about to graduate, please talk to them about their 401k. Please talk to them about an HSA if they have especially if they're looking at working for corporate America. That type of program might be something that can help them in their later years. It's not going to mean much to them now, but maybe in their
Mm-hmm.
later years, they'll have that money behind them and they can actually take care of some of those medical expenses. That stuff is important. Or maybe even life insurance. I'm not a big believer in using life insurance for anything but, when someone passes away. However, it is a financial tool, and many, many people use it that way as a way to get income, as a way to supplement their income. So
Mm.
starting life insurance as a young person can be a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to talk with a financial advisor who actually sells insurance, and and can talk with you about the difference between term, whole life, and fixed annuities, that kind of thing. So long-term care insurance, think about that.
Okay.
Okay. The last one, the last one for uh, uh, one of the top worries that people have. Do you know what it is?
Um. Uh. I would imagine. Let's see. I mean, look at your. Ah, yeah, that's a tough one. The death of a spouse,
Death of a spouse.
and because that a lot goes along with that. A lot goes
Right.
into that.
Yeah. Not only is it an incredibly emotional upheaval, I mean, that's just tough on someone. But for many people, if you've got two working spouses and that one person dies, that could be a significant part of your living expenses that aren't going to be covered because you don't have that
Right.
Social Security. So, and you can't really stop someone from dying. I mean, stay as healthy as you can, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
it is a good reason to have what I'm going to call the book, right? My father has the book. It has everything in it, so just in case he passes away, his wife can know where the insurance policies are, who's supposed to get called, who's supposed to be the executor of the state. She doesn't have to make those decisions in that state of need. She's already got that written out, so she can just kind of like go down the list and call people to help her out and what have you. And she knows where the book is as well. So if my father passes away, then
Mm.
they have that. The funny thing though about that situation is my father made me the executor of the estate, so that I could take care of a lot of that for his new spouse there. Unfortunately, he forgot to tell me. So I found out by accident that I was the one who was going to be making all these decisions. And then I said, "Well, where's the book? I don't even know where the book is." So I said, "Hey, there's a book." So
Oh.
even those of us who have family members that are in this business, we're all caught up in the same thing, Um, the cobbler's kids have no shoes sometimes. So
Right.
I don't wish this on anyone, but I will suggest get a book. Get the book. Figure out where that book is. Review the things in that book so that you're comfortable making those phone calls, and and then you know do the what if thing. What
Yeah.
if one of the spouses leaves? Are we going to be okay? What are we gonna do? Are we going to move in with someone? What are we going to do if something should happen? If something should happen to is that how it goes? Something happens. If something happens,
Something happens, huh?
yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's just do
And
quick.
before you jump off of that subject, the other part is as well is because generally, if the wife has been a homemaker, right, the husband has been taking care of been taking care of all of the household expenses, And so but then the spouse, the wife, he dies, and now she doesn't know what that looks like or how to take care of her home or whatever that looks like. So, that's something as well. In that book should be everything,
Everything.
everything, and not
All the
just give
insurance,
them
all
a
the
book. You need to educate them on what this looks like. And I know this is a tough subject because most people don't want to have the what if this happens and I'm no longer here. Most people don't want to do that. But this is a conversation that you really truly have to have. You really have to have, because it's important.
It is. It is. It is.
Hmm.
So I tell you what, how about we do this? I will
Okay.
read your bio and then
Hmm.
I'll go through the four and then I'll let you get the last word. How is that?
Okay. Sounds good.
So, everybody, we have been talking, Crystal and I, about the four top worries of retirees. So, here's Crystal's bio. Crystal Mitchell is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, good for you to join me. I'm going to go over the last four and then I'll let you have, or the top four, and I'll let you have the last word. So, the
Sounds
top four
good.
things that worry retirees. Number one, outliving their savings. Number two, will they have enough money? So, what can we do about that? That asset allocation. And then number three, the rising cost of medical expenses. What can we do about that? Let's think about long-term care, life insurance, HSAs, that kind of thing. Last
Hmm.
on the list, number four, of course, is death of a spouse. It happens sometimes in retirement. And as emotionally horrible as that is, the financial ramification can be really, really tough on you as well. So, as Crystal so expertly said, get the book, educate people on the book. Okay, last word, Ms.
All
Mitchell.
All righty. Just know again, we cannot emphasize enough about the pre-planning. And I'm going to say something. We have something in our in the business coaching world. Yeah, and you were saying earlier, make sure it's a licensed, credible advisor, not the street, not the street coach, consultant,
The
family
student
member
advisor, yeah.
that sprouts all their education at the family dinner. No,
Yeah,
not that person. You want to make sure that individual is licensed, and then do your own research, right? To make sure, because that's what I happen. I hear people, so and so told me, okay, but we don't know when so and so heard that either. And then you're going on as if that's timely information.
correct.
It may not be timely for you.
Right.
So please be careful with that. And unfortunately, our older people are very susceptible to hearsay. That's what
Yeah,
I'm going to say.
yeah. Well said. I could not say it any better than that, Crystal. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching us on uh, Conversations on the Patio with Crystal and Jevon. We will see you next week with another exciting topic about
All
retirement.
righty. See you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye bye now.
A week, not weekend, week.